Alright, let's just kind of go right into it. This video is going to talk about the Flash movie that just came out. It's kind of a lot of spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen the movie, then you can click off, or if you don't care, if you don't want to watch it, you don't want to support it, then feel free to take a listen and hear what I got to say. I'm pretty much going to break down the film, talk about some different things that I like and didn't like. I watched a couple different reviews already. I'm trying to get a gauge on what the general public is thinking. Some different YouTubers I really like to watch. I want to get their opinion on. Because, I did just see it, so I'm kind of going off the cuff here. Maybe as time goes on, it'll marinate a little bit. My opinions might change, which, if I have any opinion changes, you can check the comment section below. You can tell me what you thought of the movie, but let's just go right into it. Overall, it was interesting, to say the least. The whole film is really good and bad at the same time. I think on a technical level, this film is an absolute flop. However, from a creative standpoint, it's not bad. I mean, I really didn't want to go see the movie because the whole background regarding the film, I'm not 100% familiar with, but I know enough that the movie had a lot of delays and the main actor is like a bit of a scumbag. So it's kind of odd seeing him on screen holding a kid and holding a woman unconscious, to say the least. And it looks like this movie is supposed to really kick off the new universe of the DCU with James Gunn at the helm, and that's a whole topic for another video. So going into it, I'm kind of expecting a reboot, meaning we are going in, we're going to somehow get rid of Zack Snyder's characters he created in his universe, and we're going to replace them with something else. So I kind of got that in this film. We kind of didn't. It's kind of odd. So like I said, it was kind of good and kind of bad at the same time. I'm kind of more like, it's probably like a 6 out of 10. It's just like, the stuff that are pretty good is probably sitting right at an 8, and then the stuff that are bad, it sits at like a 2. So anyway, let's just jump right into it. So obviously this is like a Flashpoint movie, so it tackles a lot of different problems. Obviously Barry is trying to go back, save his mom, whoop-de-doo, we all know that already. We've seen this in the TV show already. This is all stuff we've seen already, but we haven't seen it on the big screen in live action. So anyway, going right into it, it has a nice opening scene with seeing the gang all together. We got the Flash doing his thing. Ben Affleck's Batman's there, helping fight crime. We see Wonder Woman later. So we kind of see a bit of the Justice League kind of work together from the Zack Snyder universe. And then they separate. Barry has a bit of a moment where he's upset about this upcoming trial revisitation with new evidence. And then he kind of accidentally discovers the point where he can go back in time and change anything. So up to that point, I was kind of torn on the movie already, because the opening scene is bombastic. A building's collapsing, and it's a long, drawn-out scene, very similar to Quicksilver's X-Men Days of Future Past scene in the cafeteria, where it's very slow, very hokey. The Flash is saving babies, a ton of babies falling in the air, and a dog. So it's obviously not really supposed to be realistic. So I was kind of able to subvert that expectation that, this is going to be a realistic movie. But I just can't get past the whole bad CGI on screen. It is atrocious. It is so bad. It's laughably bad. It is bad. I don't know what else to say. As soon as the Flash is on screen and he's in his suit within the first 5 minutes, the suit looks terrible. It's painted. It's not real. At least it doesn't look real. Maybe there was a real suit on set, but this one looked terrible. They just CGI'd his mouth on the suit. It doesn't move right. It looks awkward, and it's just not pleasing, and it doesn't look right. It looks off. So with that already, in the first 5 minutes, I'm like, man, this suit sucks. Is this going to be the whole movie? This bad suit? Because that's a distraction. That's a serious distraction to the movie. I'm not sure what the reshoots were like. If, obviously they couldn't reshoot scenes when Ezra Miller's in jail, right? Seeing Batman was cool, but what do they do to his suit? His suit's not even the same suit as in the Zack Snyder movies. Why do they mess it up? It looks terrible. It looks terrible. The cape is bad. It doesn't match. The cowl doesn't match the bodysuit. It just looked bad. And then obviously, they're doing all this action to cover up the fact that Ben Affleck's not doing anything. And, same thing with Ezra Miller. It's all CGI, so he's not actually doing any stunts on set. And we get a little later with Michael Keaton and his introduction. He has long hair because he's a hermit, which there seems to be a theme of hermits in in Hollywood comic book movies, such as Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi anyway, Michael Keaton's face is covered during the whole little action set piece of his intro. So anyway, we go back and, Barry accidentally discovers the time realm or whatever, the Speed Force. And it looks like a courtroom or a college classroom where there's stairs and they all have seats, so it's ascending. So maybe that was on purpose, but I mean, for a quote, the Speed Force, it looked kind of lame. The effects and stuff of like the running and whatnot were pretty good, but the running motion of Barry was horrible. It was laughable, but around him looked pretty neat. How they showed him moving through time and moving in the streets of wherever he's at, it looked pretty neat, but him himself looked really bad. And I think that's is a problem when showing the Flash on screen. It's really hard to show him running through time in real time and show him in the Speed Force because it just looks bad. It looks weird. So he discovers this, and what does he do? Well, he decides to go back in time, and he decides to, after he talks with Bruce Wayne, of course, who gives him advice, who he doesn't listen, obviously, he decides to go back in time and make sure his mom got the right can of tomato sauce. Okay. So at this point, everything's fine until things aren't. Where, there's another Barry here, and it's a twinning effect with Ezra Miller playing two different characters. And, I gotta say, up to this point, Ezra Miller was pretty convincing in the role. Besides for the few points where, like I said, he was holding a baby, and it was supposed to be like a cute moment, and I just know, like, the real life Ezra Miller and how he should not be around children. So that kind of just took me out of it. But for the most part, his jokes were landing. I felt like he had a lot of charisma. He was able to be funny, as well as he was able to deliver some good emotion. And he was also able to have a distinguishing maturity level between his younger self and then his current age self. So I thought that was pretty good. And I like the back and forth relationship he has with the twinning effect. And then, over time, we're understanding that this universe is a bit mangled and things aren't what they seem. Aquaman is not born. Wonder Woman is presumably not born, or maybe she's still on the island. Superman's not around, but there's Batman, so they go see Batman, and guess what? It's Michael Keaton. And I guess it's the Batman from the 80s movies, not, it's the same actor. So they meet up, and obviously Batman's reluctant to help, and over time he sees the Flash's motivations, and he decides to help. And then they have to find Superman, and oh no, it's not Henry Cavill's Superman, it's Superwoman. And obviously I'm missing some details in between, but these are just the broad strokes. I'm trying to make it good for people who haven't seen it and people who have not seen it. So anyway, they go to Russia because when Superman landed on Earth, he was captured by the Russians and kept in a tank away from the sun so he couldn't be energized. So when they open up the tank, there is a girl there. Supergirl. Oh, okay, we're going this way. Because at that point I was thinking you could bring back really any Superman, from like Superman Returns to like Dean Cain or something like that. Or just bring back Henry Cavill, right? Wouldn't that be nice? No. So it's a girl. Okay, who cares? It's Supergirl. Yay. And then she has her first fight scene. Now, okay, I'm going to give a little credit here. The fight scene is understandable in a sense to where, listen, if you're in a cage for, I don't know, let's say 20-something years, you're not going to be a martial artist right off the bat. I get that. But that fight was atrocious. It was bad. I mean, horrible. Her acting was horrible. Her little grunts and like, it just looked like she was going to take a dump at any moment. I was fully expecting her little hospital getup. A breeze would go by her pants and we would just see fecal matter just start shooting out of her rear because she just looked like she was about to blow. Another thing that was laughable was Michael Keaton saying, "Let's get nuts," because it doesn't fit in the movie. It only fits to the audience watching the movie, it's very inappropriate timing. So, like I said, Supergirl was butt. Her acting was butt. Her action was butt. Everything about her was butt. And then we find out that she's against humans. I don't like humans. They put me in this jail. Meh. And then she flies off and sees General Zod, who at this point is trying to blow up the Earth again because things happen. And he has a ton more people than last time from Man of Steel. And we also get a pretty good interesting answer as to where was the Flash during Man of Steel. I always do like when there's an initial superhero movie, big world event, and then when they establish more superheroes, we're left wondering why weren't they there at this event, such as the Eternals in the Marvel franchise. Where were they when Endgame was going on, you know? And I actually like this answer from the Flash. Barry was saving the kid, he saved the kid, but he was inexperienced, he didn't know what he's doing, and he got intimidated. And he didn't know what else to do. So that actually made a lot of sense, and I give this story credit for that. There actually are some good aspects of the film. It's just like some things are just really bad, and I just can't... That's all I take away, is these bad moments. Like Supergirl, the horrible CGI. So Supergirl goes and visits her uncle, or whatever, Zod. And she sees him murder a bunch of military men. And she's watching from afar. And she's like, what? What? Why would you care? Who cares? So she has a horrible, confused expression on her face. And then she's like, Zod, you cannot do this. We are people of peace, not war. That's why I'm going to beat the ever-living crap out of you. Okay, that makes sense. Then she flies back, and she's like, I'm on your team now. She gets her suit. She's all happy and hunky-dory. The Flash is trying to zap himself with lightning and chemicals again because his powers are non-existent at this point. Only to his brother, effectively speaking. So he zaps himself twice. I mean, I was like, oh, is this guy dead? Is the original Barry Allen dead? That would be an interesting way to kill off every single Zack Snyder character, because Henry Cavill's gone. Jason Momoa's gone. Gal Gadot's gone. The guy who played I don't even know his name. Cyborg. He's not there. Ben Affleck's gone. And I was like, well, if they killed this version of Ezra Miller, they still have another version of Ezra Miller right here, so that doesn't really handle that problem. But of course, he gets his powers back through reasons. The Speed Force took away his powers because of reasons, and now he gets his powers back because of reasons. And then we get into the third act, the final battle per se. And you know what? I actually found it relatively enjoyable outside of the bad CGI and outside of the bad fights with Supergirl and her horrible expressions. It was a very interesting idea, because at first, we see Supergirl get killed, presumably killed, and then Batman is like, can't eject, and he's gonna dive bomb right into this spaceship. So I was like, that was interesting. And then they try to go back in time and fix it, and they just die another way. So I actually think this is probably the first time we've seen a live-action Batman die on screen. And Supergirl, I was surprised they let a strong female lead co-star die at the hands of a man. So I was surprised at that. What I was confused about at this point was every time they're going back in time to change the event, to keep Supergirl and Batman alive to defeat the Kryptonians, isn't that creating another universe to where that universe is dead? The Flash abandoned that universe and started a new one. Because the way they explain these rules to begin with, in the beginning of the movie, the time travel rules, that's what it seemed like. That the change they made in the past had a branch off. So, okay. So is there like 100 of these Earths that are just blowing up and becoming Krypton? Because they kept going back and changing it? Anyway, the Flashes try to go back and change it, but inevitably, Batman and Supergirl are going to end up dead either way. So, Zack Snyder Flash is pretty much trying to just convince his brother, let's hang up the cape, mom's gotta die, and that's it. And then they kind of bring in Savitar, I think is the character. I mean, I'm kind of going off of the fact that this creature-looking thing, Flash creature, looked the same as the Savitar from the Flash TV show. Which, once again, we've seen this already. We've seen this not 1,000 times, but a couple times already. Live-action Savitar, live-action Speed Force, live-action Flashpoint. I mean, come on, it's getting a bit redundant, don't you think? But it's in this climax where the three Flashes are kind of going at it. They're speaking to each other. Their morals are conflicting. They're physically fighting. And then these big balls, all right, these big colorful balls are colliding into each other. And us as the audience, we get a peek into what those balls are. And they're actually, each ball is its own cinematic universe. So we have one ball, which is Christopher Reeve's universe. And we see Christopher Reeves. He looks like a video game character. I mean, they really, quote, brought him back for this? Oh, I was like, are you serious? I exclaimed loudly. And then we see what could have been. Nicolas Cage Superman? What? He was on screen more than Christopher Reeve's Superman. Why would we ever want to see Nicolas Cage Superman dressed like he just came out of the audition? Who else was there? I don't know. I forget. And then we saw 90s TV show Flash. Nice. We saw him already in the Flash TV show. We didn't see Grant Gustin anywhere. So anyway, all these worlds are colliding, and then brother dies. Flash brother dies. And therefore, the Savitar creature fades away. And now all of a sudden, the worlds are reversing. So because of the brother not existing anymore, all of the actions that they did reversed. That doesn't make any sense. Because I thought by this rule, time could not reverse in this regard. And it couldn't be fixed. In a nice little bow. Which I understand when we get to the last scene, it's not all nice and a neat bow. But it kind of is. Everything else was relatively the same. It gets fixed, Supergirl by Michael Keaton. Who knows where he is? Who knows if Wonder Woman and all of them are alive or born or whatever. And then Barry goes back to his universe. His dad's a free man because he looked up at the camera somehow. Who knows how Barry did it, but he did think of the idea, go back in time, make his dad look at the camera, and at this point, it worked. Whatever, right? Reasons. And then he gets a call from Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne shows up, and what do you know? It's George Clooney. What? I was expecting like a young Batman, meaning like not Robert Pattinson, but just any sort of new actor that was going to play Batman moving forward. So with this movie, it almost sets up a sequel, but are they going to do a sequel with Ezra Miller and a George Clooney Batman? I don't know. This kind of confused me because I was expecting a soft reboot of the whole franchise, and I kind of got it, but I kind of didn't. So that's why I'm kind of left a little torn. I'm a little confused. I don't know how to feel at this point. But like I said, the finale was alright. He had some nice moments in there, some shocks, some laughs, some pain that we saw, and we saw a lot of bad CGI. So overall, I thought the movie was okay. There's a lot of problems with it I saw. It was laughably bad in some moments with the CGI, the acting. But you know what? I gotta say, some of the jokes did land a lot more than your stereotypical Marvel movie. Acting wasn't too bad from Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton. Supergirl was bad. Iris was bad. I liked the father, Barry's father. He was neat. The mother was an interesting choice. At first, when I heard her voice before her actress's body, I thought it was Gal Gadot for a moment. Because it sounds a lot like Gal Gadot. I guess because they're both foreigners. I was like, is she Italian? No, because she said the S word in Spanish, presumably. But the mom did, a pretty good job. She had some nice heart And the last scene where they're both in the supermarket was very nice. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the video. That's my thought on it. I liked it. I didn't like it. I'm kind of right in the middle. This is definitely not top tier DC by any means. But, for price of admission, I guess it was worth a watch. I probably won't rewatch it ever. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments section. Like I said, give the video a like, give it a comment, give it a subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Whatever YouTubers say. And I'll see you later.